We've seen many leaders of the Cabal Empire, first Callus, then Gaul, and now Empress Caiatl, who plans to rebuild the empire to what it once was. Today we're going to discuss how the Cabal homeworld Torobatl was destroyed, forcing them to arrive in Seoul to recruit back those members of the Red Legion to their cause. Let's uncover the mysteries of Torobatl together, Caiatl's rise to power, and what it may mean for the Witch Queen early next year.
Witness the dawning of a new age!
This story begins in the Cabal homeworld of Torobatl. Now, in case you're interested in reading some of the stuff that we leave out, this comes from the Empress lorebook which dropped this season. So one of the first cards explains how Caiatl was in training to become a pilot among the Cabal ranks. She would spend time in a training pod they called a war chamber. This was a place for the Cabal to simulate war, strategy, and even death. If they died in this machine, in the simulation, they would feel it. So keep in mind this takes place after Callus is long gone and his Leviathan somewhere, and also Gaul has already headed to the city at this point for the Red War. So during this time, like I said, Caiatl was in training to become a pilot under General Hive Arath, the Cabal general who is basically in charge of most of their armies and soldiers. During one of Caiatl's test flights in this simulation, she got distracted and was looking around at the scenery outside of her ship and died in the war chamber. When the darkness finally evaporated, Caiatl stood in the blank chamber, alone. Human emerged and crossed the room. "You're dead," she told her. Caiatl kept her back straight and voice level, though there was a tremor in her arm, a humiliating after effect. "Yes." "You were distracted," Human said. "I saw you, looking around, like you were on a sightseeing flight." She made a dismissive gesture with her left hand. "Weaned and coddled on too many stories." "I won't fail again," Caiatl said. "Wrong," said Hive and Xivu. "You will die many more times if you wish to live." She clapped a hand on Caiatl's shoulder. "Do it again." In the next card titled Assassin, Caiatl had a run-in from an assassin that was most likely sent by her father Callus. After that, something weird happens back on Torobatl involving Hive and Xivu. So one day, one of these Cabal generals comes up to Caiatl and complains. "The stench from Hive and Xivu's rooms permeates the entire east wing of the palace. My lovers choke on toxic fumes simply walking through the halls." Later that day, Caiatl approaches the situation. She found that the first of Human's rooms, usually kept tidy with military precision, was changed. Her two war tables were covered in papers and tomes unrecognizable to Caiatl. The room stank of poison and death. Strange symbols were drawn on the ground in ash. In the far corner of the room with restraints they used for captives aboard their prison ships, a living hive thrall was held in suspension, drooling and chattering. "Human," Caiatl said, astonished. "What's happened here?" Human turned from one of her tables where she studied a book that looked to be bound with mottled flesh. "Princess," she said, pleased. "Good, I thought to call you, but I've been so engrossed. Come see the future of the Cabal army." So the two here then have a chat. Hive and Xivu describes how the thralls would be a perfect in the Cabal army because they don't fear pain, and then Caiatl disagrees because they should feel pain. That's the whole point of war. The Cabal love war. After a heated argument, Hive and Xivu asks Caiatl to step down. As this happens though, madness begins to break out in the main square of this Torobatl city. It was Taran, one of Caiatl's advisors, that alerted her to the spectacle. "In the square," she said, her deep voice laced with concern. "I've never seen anything like it." Caiatl went immediately. In the central square of Torobatl's weapon district, a bright green flame licked the air. Hive and Xivu stood against the blaze, naked but for a waist wrap in the custody of two guards. Her hide was carved with strange, crude symbols. When she saw Caiatl arrive, she threw her head back and laughed. "Here comes the Princess Imperial," she said, "to kneel before our new god." And then apparently in whispers it says, "I am Savathun." Caiatl strode forward. "Let her go," she told the guards. Reluctant, they did as she asked. "What god, human? What heresies have you invented now?" Human grinned. "The god of war," she said, and the earth trembled beneath them. But the god of war has planted her armies elsewhere. It is her sister, smiling, that has taken the ear of the war child Human Arath. Caiatl stood before Human in the flickering green light of the fire. "Your obsession is weakness," she said, "and a threat to our prosperity. You can't stop it now," Human lilted, breathless with delight. "Xivu Arath, hear me." So basically after this it says that Human Arath began to keep laughing and laughing till her mouth began to ooze, until Caiatl, disgusted, pushed her off the sword with her foot, so Caiatl killed Human Arath here, and then it says, "As the fire consumed the corpse, a gargantuan portal opened in the sky." Smoke rose from the city of Torobatl. The sky was dark with tomb ships and threshers. Strange, spindly towers had sprouted from the ground, infecting the streets and alleyways Caiatl had known so well, rendering the landscape alien. Many of the creatures that poured from the tear in the sky had fallen to her missiles, like any other enemy, but their numbers never seemed to dwindle. Their will never seemed to falter. Pinned in the wreckage of a crashed single-pilot fighter, Caiatl caught her breath as gel leaked from her suit. She remembered Human's words. They don't fear pain, they don't fear death. After this, one of the Hive gods spoke, most likely Xivu Arath. "My home is war, my voice is a battle song. For as long as you have worshipped war, you have worshipped me. I am here to claim my tribute. It is overdue."
This infestation. I've seen it before. As Xivu Arath slaughtered my people.
What was it like? That inevitability?
Like burning alive. And realizing the flames are just the beginning. Gasps of scorching air. Helpless panic. The smell, was it any different when Gaul razed the city? Survivors like us are embers in the dark.
After some brief fighting, the Cabal have a meeting aboard their fleeing warship. At this point, they were leaving their home planet Torobatl, as the Hive have destroyed the place and they wouldn't really stand a chance. They speak how they might be able to fight, but Gaul took most of their best fighters to Sol for his idiotic crusade. During this meeting, some of the Cabal got pretty angry at each other, fighting over what they should do, and Caiatl stepped in saying this. "My father was infatuated with the myth of his own benevolence. He gorged himself and his people on stories of what the empire could be and took half measures to make it so. But he never succeeded. He never wished to succeed. I am not my father." Dominus Gaul was obsessed with his own redemption. He imagined debts owed to him and sought their fulfillment. He used the Legion as a tool to secure himself and his legacy. He saw the Empire as one more thing he was owed. I am not Dominus Gaul. Human Arath misled me, misled all of us. Our people are not meant to flee our battles, but neither are we the Hive, throwing ourselves on the blade again and again. There is strength in tactical retreat. She studied the worried faces of her counselors and felt shame for their weakness, but responsibility as well. We'll direct all of our surviving ships to the Sol system to reclaim what remains of the Legion. This is my first order as Empress of the Cabal. So this is where Caiatl becomes the leader of what remains of the Cabal. They were once led by Callus, and then Dominus Gaul, overthrew him with that whole coup, and now he's gone, so it's up to Empress Caiatl. At this point, their homeworld was destroyed or damaged severely by the Hive and Xivu Arath, forcing them to flee. Their plan now? Recruit what remains of Gaul's forces back to their side, and to do that, they'd have to head to our solar system. On their way in one of their ships, Caiatl talks to one of her close members. "The Guardians killed Gaul," Caiatl said. "Yes," said Taran. "Stories say they've killed greater enemies too, other deities of the Hive, one of the great worms, and a sibling to Xivu Arath. Perhaps then the costs of this venture do not outweigh the benefits," Taran mused. "We need every resource at our disposal," Caiatl said, and Taran was quiet. Speaking about what they'll do when they arrive with the Guardians, Caiatl says, "We negotiate with the Guardians." Taran observed her customary moment of silence. "Some of the counselors won't like it." "I know," Caiatl said. She stared past Taran, her jaw set. "I don't either." "You'll have to make a gesture for them, a nod to our legacy as conquerors. If they see it as true, equal negotiation," Taran trailed off, "they'll call it weakness, especially after fleeing Torobatl." They shared another silence. The ache of the mounting stress began to push Caiatl's temples. Her voice was weary when she spoke again. "Then we will demand that the Guardians kneel." So this story is pretty great. We know that Xivu Arath and the Hive destroyed the Cabal homeworld of Torobatl. We also see Caiatl's plan here when interacting with the Guardians. She would rather use the Cabal ways of war, but that might not work with someone who's slain multiple gods, and one of them even being the sibling of the person who just destroyed their planet. But Guardians, if you'd like to see some more awesome lore mysteries just like this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm not sure where we're going to be heading in Witch Queen, but it would be kind of cool to check out, the Cabal homeworld at some point, even if we just got an image in the lore. But that's all we got today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. My name's Evade, and I'll catch you Guardians in the next one.